seems like we are just about to get the start underway. And we didn't get to see the end of qualifying, but we does seem to see that Dirt Rally still managed to keep that first qualifying position with Super Crusher in second and MJ in third, Dirk Diggler in fourth, Miss the Apex in fifth, Revs Martin in seventh, Revs Martin in sixth actually, and Stoltz in seventh, with T Scott in eighth. The drivers have one more minute to ready up. You know, predictions, I do have seen that in the other races in Flux Motorsport, Redders and Carwin in the Touring Car Championship like to make predictions, and I'm curious to see one myself. Tried out Dirt Rally setup earlier in some practice sessions that other drivers were holding. From what I could tell, Dirt Rally's setup did seem to appear to be very loose, and what I'm really worried about is that his car cannot hold up for the whole 45 minutes. But here we are for the start, and we're off. MJ gets a great start off the line. I'm pretty sure that's MJ. We'll go straight to Super Crusher's point of view, as I'm pretty sure that's almost 3 wide into turn 1. Oh no, is that Dirt Rally spun out? No. That's Rez Scott. That is not what I expected to see in our first broadcasted race of the V8 Supercars. Have to look back at that one. Who is involved? We got Revs, I'm pretty sure that's Dirk Diggler, Miss the Apex, T Scott, and Stoltz. 3 cars only got to avoid that crash, I believe. MJ does seem to have a clean car at the moment. I believe he made it through alive in that one, but Dirt Rally and Super Crusher do appear to have no damage whatsoever. When we make the inside move, that is really surprising that we only have 3 cars out of that crash. About to head into Net's corner. This is one where you can really lose the car quite easily if you don't keep your revs up too low or too high, I mean. But I think what Dirt Rally is going to be here to do is keep the draft of Super Crusher in the straight and possibly take him in the first corner, as he does seem to get the better exit. He's closing in on Super Crusher, but Dirk Diggler has gone to P6 as we can see. Revs Martin's gone to P6. That can just say who has got the worst damage at the moment. Oh no, that's... So we are going to see who's going to have to make it to the pits. Stoltz. I believe Stoltz was involved in that, but I think he's staying out. And we don't have a mandatory pit stop in this race, so I believe he would rather take his later. Scott also has a bit of damage, but he's also staying out. Revs is staying out. Dirk Diggler is staying out, but Miss the Apex does appear to have too much damage. That's going to be sad that he has to pit so early, but this could be possibly an advantage to him if... he's gone past his pit crew. But if he pits first, he could go for some much softer tyres, but I'm pretty sure that long pit stop won't be enough to keep him out of 8th place. But I hope he does still seem to finish the race, as it's much better to get the 8th place points rather than not finish at all. But we'll go back to the action with Dirt Rally has now overtaken Super Crusher, and MJ still trailing behind them. Super Crusher goes sliding a little bit there. That's very easy to do. You need to make sure to go as careful as you can in that sector 3, as you can very easily lose control of your car as well in Panasonic corner. Super Crusher has lost a gap to Dirt Rally now. So what we can really try to notice here is how Dirt Rally's car reacts to his driving later on. Is his race setup just as loose as his qualifying setup? That's what I really want to find out. And what can happen with Stoltz and T Scott? They are still holding the damage they have, and they both still seem to be staying out, Rez Martin is too wide with Dirk Diggler, both with damage and staying out of the pits and wanting to keep their race out for later. But Super Crusher with the fastest sector 3. Dirt Rally just set the fastest lap. Dirk's now in P6. I think Rev's going to let him go for that one. Yep, I'm pretty sure Revs knows he's got too much damage to let Dirk Diggler go by, but that is pretty sad to see Dirk Diggler in that crash of the first lap. I'm pretty sure the stewards will have to have a look at that one. With Dirk Diggler, I'm pretty sure he has gotten a top 5 finish every race this season. So this could ruin that streak for him. He's been really one of the most consistent drivers, I believe. We'll go back to look at Supercrosser and Dirt Rally. But now I'm pretty sure Dirt Rally has extended that lead and MJ is closing in on the gap for Supercrosser. I'm really curious to see what has happened to Supercrosser's car. Is his tyres. Let's go and have a look at his tyres. His tyres does seem to be perfectly green. Optimum temperature. It is not. The weather seems to be fine. Not too cold. He's almost loses his grip at that corner, but he managed just to keep control. Revs Martin is back in. Oh, T. Scott must have had a bit of a spin or something like that. I'm not too sure, but it has enabled to let Revs Martin and Dirk Diggler go past. Dirk Diggler extending his lead through Revs Martin, but we'll go back to the action. Dirt Rally is extending his lead. This is Dirt Rally's second season in Flux Motorsport, as his first season, his debut season, was in our Dirt Rally Championship, and he won that championship, doing really well at almost every rally. I'm pretty sure he won most of the rallies in that championship, and this is his debut season in the Project Cars Championships. He's done really well in the V8 Supercars so far, second in the V8s, and he's also been participating in the LMP2s and the GTEs. Dirt Rally is currently 8th in the LMP2s, and he's 11th in the GTEs. But I'm pretty sure he is hoping to continue this lead, but as Dirt Rally knows, he has said Bathurst is his fastest track, so he wants to keep that lead as big as he can before that Bathurst race, because he knows that's where he'll have his best performance. But MJ's closing in on Supercrosser. I want to keep an eye on this battle, as Carlin says his favourite drone cam is the best drone in the world. We'll go to the chase cam of MJ's car, closing in on Supercrosser. Supercrosser loses grip, so does MJ. Oh, I'm wondering if he's cooling his engine there, but I'm pretty sure he'd want to stay in the draft. I'm wondering if he's going to take the inside or not, but this is indeed one of the corners where most of the overtaking is happening. Supercrosser seems to lose grip, giving MJ a much closer gap. Supercrosser taking the inside line. I'm wondering if he's trying to act a little defensive there, or that's his normal racing line. But this is also a corner where you need to make sure you make your optimum speed through. Most cars will take an inside or middle line. If you do not brake early enough, or if you switch gears too early or too late, that is really 100R corner is really one of the corners where you can lose a lot of your speed. As there was a touring car incident earlier in that corner where a lot of cars can either go wide, and if you go wide at that corner, that's where you're really going to lose time. As we head into the Dunlop corner with MJ, Supercrosser also losing his rear. Supercrosser's rear has seemed to slip the water a fair bit this race, and MJ seems to be fairly cautious at the moment. I'm pretty sure, I'm thinking that MJ will keep behind the Supercrosser until he wants to go to the pits, because I reckon MJ will want to make sure he does his pit around the same time as Supercrosser, unless he wants to undercut him. There we go. MJ makes it through that corner a lot quicker there, but we'll go out of the chase cam for now and go back onto the track cam. Stoltz is maintaining 4th place for now, with I'm pretty sure he has the littlest amount of damage out of that first corner crash there. But Dirk Diggler, he seems to be closing that gap. That gap between Dirk Diggler and Stoltz is now only a 4-second gap, 3-second gap, both on the straight. Dirk doesn't seem to have too much damage other than some rear damage to his rear bumper and possibly boot, but he's closing in. Rev's still holding the damage. I'm wondering when he's going to want to pit, but there's only one car has pitted so far, which is Misty Apex, and I'm pretty sure that was the time when he wanted to pit. there we go. There's T. Scott with some track limit penalties and missed the apex. T. Scott making his pit as well. This is an early pit for him. This could be part of his strategy to go for the softest tyres he can at the start, or he must want to get rid of that damage as soon as he possibly can. As I'm not sure how bad his damage seemed to be. It does seem to be a bit of scrape onto his front aero, but I'm pretty sure that most of the cars will want to get rid of that damage they had in that wreck as soon as they possibly can. However, we still see Stoltz, Rez Martin and Dirk Diggler out of the pit so far from that first crash incident. And MJ is still trying to close his gap on Supercrusher, but Supercrusher has extended the gap a little more for over a second now, I believe. And Missy Apex has gone up to P7. So he still does seem to have a little bit of a damage, but that early pit stop must have paid off for him, because he got rid of that damage straight away. And I have a feeling that must have been the good strategy, because Misty Apex getting rid of that damage as early as he can make his faster laps, much more time in the race. While I'm pretty sure that Dirk Diggler, Revs Martin, Stoltz and T. Scott would have more laps in this race with damage, but with the Apex pitting early, he's going to have a lot less laps with damage in the race, and I think he is going to try and race really aggressively for as long as he can now to try and make up for that time he had involved in that first crash incident. And we'll go back to have a look at Dirt Rally. He's going back up to sector 3 through Dunlop Corner. Possibly his setup really does suit the race as well. He doesn't seem to be too loose. He's definitely got a different setup for the races. That qualifying setup he had was very loose, as what I've seen and heard from Supercrusher talking to him in the practice session earlier. As he goes into Panasonic Corner, he may be coming up to a back marker. I'm not too sure exactly. Yes, it's Misty Apex he's coming up towards. We'll go back to have a look at that later on, but we only have a 2-second gap between Stoltz and Dirk Diggler. Oh, Stoltz goes a little wide in that Nets corner. I'm not sure if he's going to lose any time over that, but from what we can see, his car seems to have less damage than Dirk Diggler. Maybe a few scraps on the front of his bonnet, but Dirk Diggler's car has, his rear right light seems to be a little bit more bruised up, and he also has more damage on the side of his car. But that seems to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars of the 8 cars that could turn up today involved in that first lap crash. Supercrusher extending that lead from MJ, and we only have 2 cars so far taking their pit stops. But Dirt Rally currently with that 5-second lead. I think he's going to... Oh no, there we go. Is that what I was saying earlier? Well, with his race setup not being able to last much of the race, but I do think he's got some great adjustments made for his race setup. But Supercrusher is going first in the V8 Supercar Championship at the moment, but also he's first in the IndyCar Championship. He's only got one win. He's got one win this season in the IndyCars. He qualified first at the Willow Springs, and he's got 2 third places in the IndyCars as well. So for both championships he's in, he's doing quite well so far. MJ is only participating in the V8s this season, putting all his focus into the V8s, but I think that's a good choice by him, as he's fairly consistent like Dirk Diggler, but maybe he's caught up in something that isn't exactly his fault. I do believe he was a little slowing down in Dubai, but I'm not too sure why exactly, because he was quite quick in that qualifying. So Dirt Rally's tyres seem to be going a little colder on the right. We'll go to Supercrusher's tyres, but no, Supercrusher is definitely running softer tyres than Dirt Rally. So my guess is that Supercross is going to take his pit a lot earlier than what Dirt Rally's doing. Dirt Rally's going to try and stay out in the race as long as he possibly can. Rez Martin is still holding that damage. I'm wondering, I think he's going to have to pit sometime soon. He's only going to keep losing more time. He is catching up to Stoltz. So could he be trying to take that position from Stoltz? With Stoltz seems to have damage, but we can't see too much damage on his car. Has Stoltz pitted already? We'll check the timings really quick. No, I can't imagine if Stoltz have been to have pitted there as he's still on the lead lap. So we'll keep an eye on this battle. He's going back to see his teammate as a back marker. So that could be interesting. Maybe the teammate's saying that T. Scott wants to pit earlier, so maybe that Rez Martin and Stoltz will have to overtake him as a back marker and see if they have to overtake him in an unsafer environment, but they're coming up towards him on the straight, so I'm pretty sure Scott's going to have to let them go on the straight. Dirk de Gore holding his damage quite well. His damage can't be too bad. It must be a little bit of aero, no suspension. He's still holding very well, but Dirt Rally has just set the fastest first sector as well not too long ago. Didn't see that come up on the board, but we'll watch his next lap. If he's coming through, he's about to come up to the Dunlop corner. And we'll have an onboard with our pole sitter for his next lap. This corner's really wanted, so you want to go as wide as you can for this corner in gear 2. Taking the inside line as much as possible. Will he catch up to miss the apex though? That's what I'm saying. Miss the apex has got fresher tyres. We'll quickly have a look at how his tyres. Yeah, they're both at optimum temperature, but I believe that yep, T. Scott's now got that blue flags. So he must. We'll quickly have a look at this before we go back to Dirt Rally, but has T. Scott been overtaken by Dirk de Gore? Yes, he has. And Rev's just got the overtake on him. We'll go back to the onboard with Dirt Rally's car now. Taking quite an outside line on this corner, but that seems to be working for him. Through the hairpin. Can Dirt Rally keep this gap? The only reason why I don't believe Dirt Rally would hold this gap up is if possibly he has his radiator really low, but with the temperature in Fuji not being too warm, the radiator should be fine at the moment. And Dirt Rally seems to be one of the only drivers that didn't get any damage from that first few incidents, so nothing should be slowing him down for now. All I can imagine is his harder tyres should last the race. They're all on softs at the moment, I do believe. But what I want to know is Dirt Rally's harder tyres, he's going to stay out for as long as he can, and Supercrosser will want to pit at enough time so that he wants to either undercut Dirt Rally with that 10-second gap. Is that going to be possible? That's what we're seeing. He goes into the hairpin, he's actually catching up to miss the apex at the moment, but miss the apex is most likely trying to keep his fastest laps, as he's going to be waiting for Stoltz to enter the pit lane as well as Rez Martin, but Stoltz is... Yeah, that was Stoltz that Rez Martin overtook. Oh, that wasn't T. Scott. That could be T. Scott up ahead. Yep, that's T. Scott above them. So T. Scott is a back marker for Stoltz and Rez Martin. Oh no, Stoltz has gone off the track in what seems to be Panasonic corner. That's one of the corners you really want to make sure your revs aren't too high in that corner, as you can get the car really loose, as we can see. But Stoltz has not chosen to pit just yet, so he's going to be staying out now. I think he's going to be trying to catch up to Revs Martin for now. Well, now that Revs has got a clear lead from Stoltz, he shouldn't be too worried about when he should make his pit stop, but with that damage, he's going to be staying out for as long as he can. I think they're all going to be waiting to see who pits when for the leaders out of MJ, Supercrosser and Dirt Rallies. They're the only three that did not receive too much damage from that first crash. But we're almost at halfway for the race. This is our first ever broadcasted race for the Flux Motorsport V8 Supercar Championship. Missed the apex as Dirt Rally go with the black blue flag. So Dirt Rally is clear of any cars in his path for the moment. So he should be able to keep his fast laps up. He's just still getting quicker and quicker, but his tyres are getting colder on that right side, setting a faster sector 3 earlier. But if you are interested in Flux Motorsport or any sim racing that involves clean sim racing and project cars too, with club racing championship races like this one, we have our touring cars and Formula Renault 3.5s for our UK European Championships on Wednesdays and Thursday nights, 8 PM UK time, and IndyCars, GTEs and LMP2s for within our American Tour Championships. 8 PM EST is the IndyCars on Friday nights. Saturday nights is GTEs, followed by LMP2s at 7 PM for the GTEs and 9 PM for the LMP2s. Within the whole week, we also have our Rally Championship. The Dirt Rally has won last season, and in the middle of this season, he got a podium at his home rally last time at New Zealand, so I'm sure he's keeping that up. He's trying to do as well as he can as all championships he's in this season, but if you're interested in any of those championships or clean racing and project cars too, go to fluxmotorsport.com. You can keep up with all our action through our YouTube channel, as you can subscribe and like to our videos, and Flux Motorsport TV on our YouTube page. Supercrosser, oh there we go, there is our first pit for the leaders. Almost clipping our curve, Supercrosser makes his pit stop. So that is the first of the extra team to make the pit stop, and we have one of the team with Stoltz and T. Scott. With T. Scott making his pit, Stoltz hasn't made his pit yet, but there we go. Revs Martin is still on the track. Supercrosser is just making his pit. He could be pitting for a little bit of damage. He may have had a little bit of engine damage, because the car seemed to be clear. That gives Dirk Diggler the time to extend that lead as much as he possibly can. Yes, he may have a little bit of damage from that first wreck, but it seems to have only been minor damage from no suspension damage. From what we can see, if there was more suspension damage, his car would seem to act more loose. There could be less suspension damage. His car seems to be more tilted, but that could be his camber settings as well. But Dirk Diggler will be trying to extend his lead as much as he possibly can, as Supercross has made his first pit. But Dirt Rally, he's only getting quicker and quicker from here. He's extended his lead to 18 seconds, and that lead earlier was, he only had possibly a 9-second gap from MJ earlier in the race. So MJ seems to be... Is MJ making his pit? MJ is making his pit. So here I can see that he has just noticed Supercrosser has made his pits. So he knows this is just the right time to make his pit. Trying to keep up with Supercrosser. Just made a quick lap. That puts Dirk Diggler. Dirk Diggler is coming to the pits as well. He will have to pit for his damage, but this is where we find out how much damage he does have by seeing how long he is in that pit box. So who is going to come out of the pits first? It will be MJ, but how long will Dirk Diggler be in the pits for? How bad is his damage at the moment? MJ's just out of the pits, but how long will Dirk Diggler be in the pits for? We would have to make sure that Dirt Rally's coming onto only extend his lead. Supercrusher overtakes Dirk Diggler, so the Dirk Diggler's pit stop his damage is still a little much at the moment. Supercrusher taking the lead back from MJ. There goes Stoltz and Revs. Stoltz is closing the gap for Revs and still almost catching up to him, making up to P4. This is almost what Revs has done last race. Last race at Long Beach, I was racing behind him and trying to keep that gap as close as I can to Revs Martin. But Revs Martin at Long Beach last weekend, I'm pretty sure no dirt rally into the pits. So all cars that were not involved in that first lap crash have now pitted. There goes the fuel man waving goodbye. Does he fuel? He must only be in there for engine damage at the moment. This is where we see Supercrusher coming into Sector 3. Oh, we're keeping it loose. Leaving Dunlop corner. Dirt Rally's leaving the pits. Dirt Rally's definitely going to keep that first place. This is where Supercrusher needs to make up as much time as he can to keep that lead minimal with Dirt Rally. Revs in third. Stoltz, oh, that was quite close. Is that Stoltz behind him? So T. Scott has had that blue flag. T. Scott's making his... Yep, I'm not sure what T. Scott was doing. T. Scott was almost giving him a draft. He's already pitted. He wasn't going into the pits. He was giving Revs Martin a draft almost. I'm pretty sure his teammate Stoltz wouldn't be too happy with that. And he lets his teammate Stoltz go. And that could be part of their team strategy, but to keep T. Scott in front of the leaders ahead of Stoltz, to keep Stoltz with that little bit of that advantage with his teammate as a backmarker, that races that Stoltz is racing against would have to overtake, but at a safe point that T. Scott has gone off the track. What's happened there? He's got a little loose out of that turn 3, I believe. I think that's the first instance we've seen out of the Coca-Cola corner. But does he still have damage? It's what I'm trying to notice. Revs Martin, yep. As I said earlier, Revs Martin did seem to be one of the cars that got most damage out of that first lap incident. Missed the apex, pitting one of the earliest as he can. I believe he pitted first lap from memory, which, what I said earlier, I think is a great strategy for himself, as he's going to have much more laps with a cleaner car with no damage. He's going to be faster from a longer of the race compared to the other 5 that are involved, so he can make up those positions. So he got 6th place when he pitted first and leave 8th, which was a great strategy by him. I don't believe he's going to be able to keep it with Dirk, but everyone is pitted except for Stoltz now, and Stoltz is just making his pit stop now. So what we need to notice is how is this going to affect him and Revs Martin, because Revs Martin was the car that he was battling earlier, and the only thing slowing them two down was Stoltz's teammate T. Scott. With T. Scott out of the way of Revs Martin only has to keep going quicker. Revs Martin would see that Stoltz has gone into the pits. He must be trying to get as quick as he can now. As Dirk Diggler gone up to 4th place. Dirk has finished 4th in a few races this season, I believe. As from what I'm calling him, he's 4th in the standings, and what I'm calling Dirk at the moment, the consistent 4th place finisher. What I'd really love to see is Dirk get a podium this season. I really think it's going to happen. So Revs coming out of the straight. Stoltz has just come out of the pit. Stoltz has indeed undercut Revs Martin, and he's kept a good gap. Yep, he is too far ahead of Revs Martin. Revs Martin had too much damage from that first lap incident, so we'll have to pick up what the stewards decide about who gets penalised in that situation, and whoever does get penalised, I know that they would be trying to go as quick as they possibly can at the moment. From wherever they get positioned, they need to make sure that position as high as possible and as far ahead of the car behind them as possible from that penalty. from whatever they get, if they get a penalty or if this is deemed a racing incident. We'll go back up to our leader, Dirt Rally. Had the quickest car today from quali and practice and race, setting the world record not too long ago, making everyone believe does he have the race car. But what Supercrusher has said earlier when I was talking to him in a practice session, that when Dirt Rally set that world record on the time trial, he gave that setup became available for everyone to use. But what everyone found, that setup was very loose. So Dirt Rally must have another race setup that's really well managed. And if Dirt Rally wins this race, he's going to take that lead from Supercrusher. And Supercrusher will remain second for now, but with Blankfile's absence, where will he be in the standings? It all depends. With Dirk Diggler has finished fourth consistently, so I believe Blankfile will be below Dirk Diggler as well. Even MJ finishing third, who is currently fifth at the moment, and he's 28 points behind Blankfile. Yeah, so MJ is 28 points behind Blankfile and currently third. He will get 30 points for that third place finish, so Blankfile could get pushed down to fifth place. So what Blankfile's going to have to wait for is there going to be another rainy race? Because from what we saw at Brands Hatch, Blankfile is, well, Flux Motorsport did not get to see the races. The first few races were not televised, but what I can tell you from Blankfile, he was much more quicker than everyone else by far at the rain in Brands Hatch. So what I'm thinking is, if Blankfile is much quicker than everyone else in the rain, is that T. Scott making another pit stop? That is T. Scott's second pit stop of the race. He must have picked up some damage. Yes, he has. He's also leaving the pits with some damage on the front. That could be, I believe that would be some weight reduction there. He's keeping the car intact, but with that weight reduction, he could be a little quicker, maybe some suspension fix, but with the aero, he's going to just have that weight reduction. He does go wide in the first corner. Misty Apex is now fifth, so that early pit really worked out well for him as he overtakes T. Scott going wide, yep, letting him go for the blue flag. But there you go. Misty Apex got most likely most of the damage there with Revs Martin in that first lap crash, but he chose to make his pit in the first lap, and I believe that was a great strategy by him. That might have been what he had to do either way, but with Misty Apex pitting pit and everybody else deciding to stay out as long as they can, Misty Apex could only keep overtaking. But with the cars above him, I believe Misty Apex is going to get that fifth place, and that'll be his second best finish all season, with he got fourth place in his debut. Misty Apex, this is Misty Apex's debut season for Flux Motorsport as well, for Project Cars 2 and any championships, and his other championship is Formula Renault 3.5. We'll check the standings of the Formula Renaults at the moment, and Misty Apex is 14th in the Formula Renault Championship. So he's got some points to make up there, but doing quite well in the V8s, considering the fact that he could not start for the Dubai race and the first race due to some mechanical issues, I believe. But who is that behind him? Is that Stoltz? No, it's T. Scott. So possibly Stoltz could maybe wanting to get that drive from T. Scott, because he could be closing that gap to Misty Apex. It's only a 4-second gap now. It was now, yeah, 5-second gap from Stoltz and Misty Apex, with T. Scott in between them. So if Scott can give Stoltz that draft on the straight, that will make him quicker to catch up to Misty Apex, but I do not believe it'll be enough to go with. We only have 11 minutes left to go in this race with our fourth round of the season. Next weekend we will be at Watkins Glen Short. The IndyCars will be there too of the American Tour, and the American Sports Car Championship will be on the GP circuit. What can we expect from Watkins Glen? I believe that will be much more harsh on the tyres, so pit strategies will be really thought of for that race. And could we see hard tyres being used in that race? I think so, as I know some cars will get wear on the left side. I believe it could be wear on either the left or right side, but one side of the car does get a lot more wear than the other at Watkins Glen, as seen from memory in the IndyCar race there. So that will most likely happen in the V8s. Hard tyres are very harder to control in the V8s. So what I want to see is how many cars go on that hard tyre compound in the race, or will they only go in hards on the first stint and go softs in the last stint. Rev start Martin has been a late pit stopper from memory, so he could be one of the cars to go for a later pit in that Watkins Glen race, with that really hurting the tyres much more. That is definitely track that will hurt the tyres. But at the moment we do not have much close battles. The top three seem to be fairly spread out. Dirt Rally first, 9 minutes to go. Supercrusher second, MJ third. This could be MJ's best result all season at the moment, unless he makes it better. Dirk Diggler fourth once again. Missy Apex fifth with an incredible comeback from his early pit stop. Stoltz is sixth. Has he got past his... Oh no. Is that T. Scott in the pits once again? T. Scott's having a hard time this race. Rev's still holding that damage he had. Wondering he might not have repaired the aero damage at the pit stop, but only the suspension damage, as fixing the aero damage may take too much time out of into his pit stop, and he wants to make that pit stop as quick as he possibly can. With Stoltz above him, Rev's on the straight, trying to make that gap with Stoltz with 8 minutes left. Stoltz does seem to have the colder tyres, but that is Dirt Rally taking the cars as a Revs. Oh, he goes loose out in the first corner. But with these Revs Stoltz cars being backmarkers now, that does make the battle between them more interesting, as they will have to slow down to let the leaders come by, but they won't have another 19 seconds until they have to let Supercrusher and MJ go by. Dirk Diggler is probably the car with another gap, but Stoltz is also closing that gap to miss the apex. But Supercrusher, almost like Scott McLaughlin at the moment, he's gone really well in both V8s and IndyCars, being first in the V8 Championship and first in the IndyCar Championship. Scott McLaughlin, not the greatest in IndyCars right now, it's only his first season, but I'm really loving to see Supercrusher crushing it at both championships, as I believe he can continue to do so for the rest of the season with his Andretti Motorsports car in the IndyCars and extra team in the V8s with his teammate Revs Martin. We'll go check on Revs Martin real quick. Taking it easy out of that first corner, at that final corner in Panasonic, I believe. Still trying to close that gap to Stoltz. We do have a comments. Oh, we'll have a look at those. Yep, and that's Curtis cheering for Supercrusher. Supercrusher was in his second place, and Supercrusher has done quite well this race, avoiding the first incident with the bottom 5 cars. Yes, the bottom 5 cars, and Supercrusher is killing it at the moment. He just needs to keep that gap out of MJ and not make any mistakes. The top three at the moment, they'll be trying to race as easy as they can for now, just keeping that gap from the cars behind them as far as they possibly can. But could that be Dirk Diggler closing the gap with MJ? Yeah, that's MJ still in sector 2 and Dirk Diggler coming out of this. Yeah, that's Dirk Diggler closing the gap on MJ. I did not expect that at the moment. So is MJ getting a little slower? Or is Dirk Diggler only getting faster, really trying to close that gap? Dirk Diggler could almost close that gap with 5 minutes to go, with a 4-second gap, 3-second gap. MJ has to make sure he has to drive as cleanly as he possibly can. He can't make any mistakes now. He is Dirk Diggler trying to go for his first podium for the season. This is MJ's first podium for the season as well, I believe. So both cars going for their first podium. This is going to be quite the battle with Blankfeil's absence. There's many podiums to grab here, as every race so far the podium has involved Dirt Rally and Supercrosser, and Blankfeil just didn't get that podium on the first race at Dubai. And I'll double check on who got that first podium at Dubai. Yeah, that was Dirk Diggler in third at Dubai, so this will be actually Dirk Diggler going for his second podium and trying to extend that lead with Blankfeil after the race, as he will take the lead in Blankfeil and he will try to extend that gap as much as possible at being ahead of Blankfeil. Still a 3-second gap between him, MJ and himself. Stoltz in the blue flags at the moment. Who's he with? Oh, that's Misty Apex. He's trying to battle with Dirt Rally, so he has to let Dirt Rally go by, but he's gotten the gap so much closer with Misty Apex. So Stoltz has gotten the blue flag, but he has to let Dirt Rally by. Dirt Rally taking his draft, but Stoltz is going to try and take Misty Apex. What is going to happen? Dirt Rally really trying to get ahead of those, because this is only going to bring up time for Dirt Rally. This is going to let Supercrosser close that gap between him and himself. Stoltz finally letting Dirt Rally by. Dirt Rally going for Misty Apex as the back marker. Misty Apex letting Dirt Rally by, giving time for Stoltz. Cuts the corner, that Coca-Cola corner. Stoltz trying to close that gap as much as possible, but that would have closed the gap between Supercross and Dirt Rally, but not too much. It was a 20-second to 19-second gap earlier, but now it's only 18 seconds. But Stoltz will try and take that draft in the straight, and as long as Misty Apex keeps the car stable in Sector 3 as we head into Dunlop Corner, that would be as fine as possible. No, he takes it wide. Stoltz gets even closer. Misty Apex is currently 10th place in the standings, and Stoltz is currently 11th place in the standings. Only a 10-point gap between them, with one on 25 points and one on 5th. No, Stoltz goes wide. Misty Apex extends that gap. No, is that T. Scott? Yeah, that was T. Scott. No, that was Stoltz going wide. A bit hard to tell with the two teammates. But there goes fans cheering on for Apex. This is one of Apex's hardest battles of the season with Stoltz at the moment. Stoltz trying to keep that draft as much as he possibly can. This is the battle that we see for the race. This is the battle for the 10th spot in the championship. Stoltz really trying to close that gap between Misty Apex. We'll go back and check at the leaders, because that gap between Dirk Diggler and MJ is still around that 3 second. So I don't believe Dirk Diggler will be able to keep that gap. Is that T. Scott making another pit stop? Hopefully he can finish this race. Really glad to see him still staying on the track and not having to make a retirement, because he's going for that 8th place points. Because if he takes those 8th place points, he will go above Catguard, the reserve driver, and he will take that 10th place point. So hopefully T. Scott can stay in the race to take that take that 12th place. This will really stay beneficial for him if he stays in the race. We'll go back to Misty Apex and Stoltz here. But Misty Apex has opened that gap much more with 4-second gap now. But what happened there? That was Revs Martin trying to overtake Stoltz. I thought that would have been Super Crusher, but no, Revs Martin above Stoltz. Revs Martin taking a 6th place out of nowhere. I did not see this coming by checking the timing. So Misty Apex is seem to have cleared off from Stoltz now, and Stoltz and Revs Martin have almost cleared their battle too. Revs Martin extending the gap with 30 seconds to go. Yes, this is the white flag final lap for our first ever broadcasted race for the V8 Supercar Championship. And Revs will get in both. Will Revs get Misty Apex by the final lap? The gap is getting large between Misty Apex and Revs Martin. It's going to be quite a mistake from Misty Apex for Revs Martin to really close that gap, as the gap is now around the 3-second mark. This is quite much more of the exciting race we see from all the cars that had gotten crashed in the first lap. There goes Dirk Diggler making his final lap, and MJ making his final lap. There's only a 2-second gap between those two now, with Dirt Rally just going through Sector 3, heading up to Net's corner, up the hill to Net's corner, making it loose. Not too much, he still keeps it able, but if he spun that out, I think he would have been fine from Super Crusher. We'll quickly go back and miss the Apex and Revs Martin. Revs Martin really trying to close that gap. All we can do is keep that draft, but all Revs Martin can hope for is if Apex, out of breath here, but Apex must keep control of this car in the final corner at Panasonic corner. Yes, he does. Revs Martin Dirt Rally across the line for first place. Dirt Rally wins at Fuji Speedway in Japan for V8 Supercars. Is that Revs? Revs took 5th place. Revs took 5th place with a drag race to the finish too wide. Revs, wow, I should have been more, we should have had the cameras on those two, with Revs just taking Misty Apex at the very last second. We're going to have to look at the very end of how much Revs Martin won by. We'll go quickly look at Dirt Diggler and MJ. MJ does take his first podium of the season, and Dirk Diggler taking a 4th place. This will keep Dirk Diggler to 3rd in the standings. Now we'll take our final results, see how close that finish was between Revs Martin and Misty Apex. So, final standings of the race. Dirt Rally got 1st place, Super Crusher then 2nd, MJ first podium of the season and first ever podium in Flux Motorsport. So congratulations to MJ. Dirk Diggler with a 4th place, taking 3rd in the standings, going above Blinkfile. Revs Martin with 5th place. And MJ 3rd, I believe MJ would most likely be above Blinkfile as well. So Blinkfile's really going to have some catching up to do in the next race at Watkins Glen Short. Misty Apex in 7th, in 6th under Revs Martin. That was a really close finish there. But no, Misty Apex had that penalty, so I should have had a look at that early in the race. So that, yeah, there was not much Misty Apex could have done about that with that penalty. So Revs Martin just trying to keep his laps as much as possible, but unlucky for T. Scott as he got in some incidents, having to take 4 pit stops instead of 1, and Stoltz, his teammate, finishing 7th. But T. Scott keep finishing the race despite all the incidents he was getting involved in. He still finished the races. He will now take that 12 points above Cat Guy, the reserve driver. That's it tonight. This is Owen, your host, Mark, with the V8 Supercar Championship. Next week we'll be at Watkins Glen with the American sports cars and Indy cars next weekend. You can catch us on FluxMotorsport.com and Flux Motorsport TV for all our races. Thanks everyone. Oh, yeah, that's done.